Greetings. This is Kim Turcott from kimturcott.com, and I am here today with the Moon Magic energy forecast for the full moon in Gemini, which is happening on December 7th or December 8th, depending on where you live in the world. This one's going to be interesting. The energy of Gemini in itself, is the twins. So you're going to see different facets happening here. We really have two very different energies happening at this time, which might leave a lot of us feeling uncomfortable, maybe a little bit discombobulated, but there is the underlying energy is this movement towards your best life, right? That's the underlying energy, but there are these two opposing energies that are going to help you get there. The first has to do with Mars being in retrograde, also being conjunct with the moon during this full moon. And that energy is very intense. It's reminiscent of the very intense energy of those eclipses in late October and early November. So the potential for getting triggered about something is pretty high. And really, when I sat with this, the example I was being given was that thing, whether you're conscious of it or not, that you have never really dealt with, that has caused a wound in you somehow, right? So some situation, some experience, maybe a relationship, whatever it is, this thing that you've been kind of holding on to, that you haven't spoken your truth about, you haven't communicated how you really feel about it. You've buried it for the good of all, right? So a lot of times we do this. We're just like, oh, I'm not even going to address that because that's just going to create a bigger issue. Yet we carry that unresolved feeling within us. Well, during this full moon, that Mars energy is going to be shining a spotlight on those things that we have failed to deal with, or that we have kind of just pushed aside, swept under the rug. It's a time. Gemini is a communicator, right? So it's a time to communicate all those feelings that you haven't communicated. Now, the tricky thing about that is because it's Mars energy and it's intense and it can be harsh sometimes. I mean, Mars is the god of war, right? So that energy can feel harsh. And if you are not feeling balanced, so if you're tired or you're run down or you're super stressed, right? If you are anxious because you haven't been moving your body or you're not eating healthy and you're just feeling off, you're not your best self, you're going to be more prone to reacting in a harsh or negative way. And when I say that, what I'm talking about is you're going to be more likely to lash out at somebody and to play the blame game. We all do this. It's no judgment, right? We all have had times in our life when we're not our best selves, and that's okay. Now, the other side of Gemini, right? The other side, the other energy that's coming in is a much softer energy. It's that energy that we dealt with just at the last new moon in late November. That was very expansive. It was all about possibility. It was all about opening to the most amazing dream that you have and bringing that forward in your life. That can happen. And it's almost like the universe is going to bring up this Mars energy, all this alignment, the energy that's happening at this full moon is going to bring up the things that are holding you back from achieving that. Okay. It's going to shine a spotlight on where you still have energy leaking to these old situations or old hurts or wounds that need to be dealt with. You know, it's okay to be angry. In fact, it's necessary. Anger is an important emotion. It gets things moving. Now, unhealthy anger, when you're just screaming at someone and you're blaming them and you're not taking responsibility and you're not communicating in a healthy way, that's not always the best thing for you. It happens, we're human. That's the other energy that's going on that's at play during this full moon. We have the energy of our humanness, right? Which is more aligned with that kind of Mars retrograde energy. Being human, we're very much in our mind, right? Our humanness is in our mind. It's concerned with being safe, being secure. And we often feel like we have to control things, right? So we can be safe. And that can bring up anxiety. And so that human energy is very much in the mind, which again aligns with that Gemini energy, right? But we also have the other side of Gemini, which is the soul energy, right? That soul knowing. The soul energy is just concerned with you living your best life with joy, with expansiveness, with abundance, with brilliance. And both things are necessary here in this human experience, right? So our soul is always creating opportunities. I call them opportunities. Quite often they show up as challenges for us to be able to heal and to step into or up level our lives. It's only when we're really willing to surrender to that soul knowing, to that divine energy, when we're able to get out of our mind, to get out of that the energy of that human worry. Okay, that human worry can trigger something, but we need to also be able to balance that with that softer, more expansive energy of the soul knowing. I hope this is making sense. I feel like maybe the energy of this full moon is influencing this. Like it's very conflicting energies, but they're both necessary ingredients in order to move forward on your path. So it's not about shutting down the human mind or those human feelings or emotions, right? It's not about shutting that down. It's about allowing ourselves to feel it and to move through it. It's allowing that soul energy to come in and help support us as we move through it so that we're not doing it in an unhealthy way, right? That we're not lashing out. This time is very much about healing those old wounds that we haven't really wanted to look at. We get another chance with that. That came up with that, with the eclipse energy. It's coming up again, the final time before we end the year and step into the new year. It's really such an important process for us to go through, right? If you are committed to moving into wholeness and to moving into a more joyful, abundant, well-rounded, expansive life, then you absolutely have to be willing to go through that messy part of feeling the anger, of feeling the sadness, of feeling the grief, of feeling the worry, right? But the point is not to stay there. The point is to be honest with yourself about what's coming up and to be willing to speak your truth. And again, you don't have to do this in a harsh way. This is where the challenge comes in at this moon is the energy is going to be intense and it can be harsh. And like I said, if you're not in your best balanced state, you might be triggered enough to lash out. And all I'm saying is be aware of that energy, be aware that it's present, be aware that the tendency might be to fly off the handle. But if you just take a breath and you allow yourself to be, and then you allow yourself to be balanced and grounded and speak your truth, communicate your feelings from that more balanced, and you're responding instead of reacting, right? There's a big difference in those energies. That's really important. And once you're able to do that, right, that's going to heal that part of you. And it's going to open up space to make room for those new opportunities that you thought about and you worked on during the new moon and that you really want to bring forward. It's going to make room for that. It's going to allow space for new opportunities to present themselves. And then we can move into the new year in this more expansive state. So again, I don't want it to sound like doom and gloom, but it's going to be intense. So really just be conscious of what you're feeling and allow yourself to feel it. And also allow yourself to speak about it, to share it in the situations where it needs sharing. If you have an issue that you've had with someone and you have not addressed it and it still bothers you, energetically, that's weighing you down. You need to have that conversation. And it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be a negative outcome. You can be kind and still communicate your unhappiness or your disappointment or your hurt. Both things can be true. You can be upset and you can be hurt and you can feel sadness and anger, but you also can be kind in the way that you communicate it, right? This is where the real growth happens for you. It's when you're able to be more balanced and have those conversations from a healthier place. I feel like that's the big opportunity during this full moon. So I hope that it's not too rough on you. And I hope that you have the courage to have those hard conversations if you have to. You can do it. Just take a breath, be balanced, and just be honest. And remember to be kind. Always be kind. The world would be a much better place if we all could find kindness in each moment for ourselves and for others. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you in the next Moon Magic energy forecast for the new moon that's coming up on the 23rd. As always, if you have found some nugget of wisdom, if you've enjoyed this video, please go ahead and click the like and the subscribe button so that you get notifications whenever I do release a new video. I am honored to have you here and be part of the community. Many, many blessings on your path. Blessed be.